Hello y'all, I am back again for another video. And this video is going to be about depression, the empathetic personality versus the narcissist. So this video is also going to be part of my SAD management. In an effort to help you and myself understand how we actually manage sadness. And through doing this, you can prevent or avoid depression. And so I am going to explain to you, in my opinion, more of what depression really is versus just being sad, because there is a difference. Okay? Depression is something that's more ongoing. It's a very powerful emotion that can definitely hold you back. So, with that being said, we have to be careful with feelings in general. You know, feelings can destroy a lot of us. So, someone was saying to me, we were talking about something, and the person said, well, you must be unhappy since that's going on, or depressed. Now, remember, depression is a powerful word. It's actually a medical illness. And it's something that I have not struggled with throughout my life. I mean, I can remember maybe once or twice having a little mild, ongoing kind of thing, right? But when I had that, there was severe trauma going on. I also did not know what a narcissist was. So I was not empowered to know what I was actually dealing with. If I would have had more information, I probably could have controlled a lot of that ongoing, what some may call a depression or an extreme sadness, right? However, this is one thing I'm going to say. Okay, so we're going to start with the empath personality versus narcissist personalities. And I'm talking about a full-blown narcissist here, not just someone that's narcissistic. Someone that's narcissistic, they can't actually be diagnosed as being a narcissist or a psychopath or a sociopath, and they do have a small level of empathy there. So I'm talking about a full-blown narcissist, y'all. So throughout my life, what I've learned is this. And I've learned this through studying too recently. So I've studied videos by psychiatrists that have actually confirmed what I always knew, even though I'm not a doctor. Narcissists suffer from more depression than an empath ever could. Now, empaths and people that have empathy, they suffer with addictions and depressions because of the ongoing abuse. However, what I've learned throughout my life is narcissists suffer the most. And this is why they have the mask. This is why they put on a personality. So you got to remember, okay, even the narcissists, whether they be male or female, say this particular narcissist is acting like a player. They acting like they all of that. And I've been around this type of narcissist. Okay. That man or woman has more depression and bad moods and sorrow going through their veins than any empath. I've watched it. I've watched a narcissist just struggle to even sit on his or her own couch without looking mean and crazy. I'm telling you, these people, that's depression. When you have to get up, act like you somebody you not, and in turn, on the inside of you, you're a miserable soul. So this is what I want to explain about this. So when this particular person was talking about this and mentioning that maybe that would be depressing or I should be unhappy about that. This is what you got to learn. You got to have more self control. And remember, everyone you're talking to is not always a narcissist, y'all. So sometimes, check this out, they learning from you too. See, you could be talking to somebody and something going on in their life, and they feel like that particular situation may make them unhappy or depressed because they may have something else going on. However, you got to let people know that not one thing that goes on in your life can always take you out, right? Because people are watching you. So they see how you're grieving, you're dealing with deaths in the family, maybe adult children, nieces and nephews kind of getting off track, people in the family getting on drugs, getting off drugs, going through rehab or treatment. You might have relatives that's in and out of jails, prisons, all sorts of things. Elderly people in the family that have had strokes and things like that. We have a lot of suffering. And I'm not a Buddhist. However, in Buddhism, suffering is taught that is a normal part of human nature, right? We all must go through suffering. So when you learn that, and once you learn that, you don't take it so personal. So this is what I want to explain, because I pointed out in another video, I tested as an empath. Okay, so I feel more comfortable saying, okay, I am an empath because that's what I scored on my test as. So this is the thing about my personality and your personality if you are empathic or an empath or someone that has empathy. One of the things about us, if I'm depressed, you're going to know it. You're going to hear it in my voice. And I'm not talking about something you're struggling with in your life. You know, like a lot of times people get behind on their chores. They may suffer from a little laziness. But I've learned this. All laziness ain't no depression neither. It's a sign that you're stressed out and overwhelmed and you're just tired. See, a lot of y'all done work 2, 3, 4 jobs, just like I have in the past. So what happens is your body becomes physically overwhelmed too. So those situations are a buildup of stress. And stress is not necessarily depression. They're separate things. Now, not handling stress, maybe for some people can lead into depression, but they're very separate in actuality. Stress should not be ongoing all throughout the day, right? I mean, I'm washing dishes, so I'm stressed out if that makes me stressed out, but I shouldn't be depressed all day and night because I had to wash a few dishes. That would not be normal. So I'm just throwing out just any old example. So this is the thing for one, because remember, I'm doing sad management and I got videos coming on that. I think I'm going to start the playlist on this video just to begin some of this sad management, because I think this will be a good video to be a part of that. So sad management is just like anger management. With anger management, you're managing your anger and you're controlling yourself. You can do the same thing with sad management. So when you do sad management, you're preventing and avoiding the depression because you're getting your emotions under control. And so what I'm learning is as I get my emotions under control, it prevents that deep depression, if that makes sense. And remember, as I pointed out, that's not something I get too much into. I've never, some people, I mean, it depends on what mental illnesses people have. You just got to stay prayed up. So with this particular person that I was talking to, I made the comment, I said, I'm not depressed. I'm not unhappy. See, that's the thing. You are going to be what you claim to. Keep that in mind. So remember your mind. You got to control your mind and your thoughts too. Don't even be claiming that mess. However, in general, listen to my tone right now. Okay, in my opinion, I sound pretty upbeat. I don't sound like I just was crying before I got on this video. I'm on my bike, I'm exercising. And I also pointed out to the person that I was talking to ways I make sure I'm not depressed: exercising, walking, and stuff like that. So I'm not even going to claim no mess like that. And you got to be more mature and you got to learn through sad management not to let one thing overwhelm you. Okay, you got a relative that's a little off track and you're worried about them. You cannot let that one situation make everything else miserable in your life that's good. Okay, you got your health, other people in the family trying to do their best. You got a place to live and stuff like that. You got the Lord. So you got to use self-control, because many, many years ago, I let a situation kind of overtake me. And what I learned in that situation is that situation overtook me so much that I could not visually see my blessings right in front of me, because I was being blinded through the misery that I was under through that circumstance. And so I learned a lot about, that's when I began to learn what depression really is. And it was very mild. However, once I learned that lesson, I didn't need to suffer much more from that. I pretty much was able to kind of live my life and move on with my life. So that's the thing that I would say. Also, I'm going to say this as an empathic person: the beauty about our personality and my personality is we show usually what we are. I'm mad. I'm sad. You visually see it and you hear it. And right now, you shouldn't be hearing that. I'm not depressed. I'm not unhappy. I'm just not. You will know if I am. And so just keep that in mind. And if y'all think back to your situations, one thing you will know for sure, if you was living with narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths, they stay freaking depressed. A lot of them are diagnosed with major depression, clinical depression, ongoing severe depression, and whatever else kind of depression that could be out there. I'm not sure. Just basically illnesses that have depression in it. And I believe this: a lot of their depression comes from the way they freaking treat people. If you wake up every day and you pray and you try your best to treat people right, beginning with yourself, a lot of that depression and unhappiness and all that stuff them narcissists and psychopaths be going through, but then they got to come out to the world and fake. A lot of narcissists, like the somatic narcissists, the narcissists that like to look extra good and all, got to have their bodies tight. Some of them internally are suffering, but they're using their bodies and their fitness and stuff to cover up the depression, if that makes sense. So stop claiming all this stuff. Just don't claim it if it's not good for you. However, when people are telling you, with that situation, you're probably depressed, and this person mentioned where you're probably covering it up. No, I'm not. Because see, for one, the reason I'm not covering it up is because in general, I don't have a cover up personality. Now, there's a difference between I'm being private about something, so I'm not being so open about it because I don't want people in my business. That's not depression. That's your private nature. And also using discernment, knowing who to tell your business to and who not to. But no, once I did my sad management, that was a term that I just came up with. I had never heard of it. After I came back from my relative's funeral, I kind of was going into a spiral. I was crying too much and I got it under control. It was starting to affect me and I got it under control. I actually did sad management. You do the same thing in sad management that you would do in anger management. In anger management, you're controlling anger, and in sad management, you're controlling sadness. And one of the first things I had to do was stop crying. Number two, what I had to do was really evaluate how this relative treated me, even before this particular person left this earth. See, a lot of times we don't want to do that. We don't want to say, well, that person wasn't even calling me back or talking to me before they died. We don't want to say that. So I had to really think to myself, I need to move on. I need to stop wasting these tears over somebody that wasn't caring too much about me enough. You know what I mean? And see, what we don't want to do also is hold grudges against deceased people. This particular relative was going through a lot of trauma. It was a lot going on, so I didn't take it personal. I still went to the funeral. Hey, I could have did better by this relative too. Okay, so that's another thing you got to get over. In sad management, you got to stop having regrets. At the end of the day, you're still alive and they're unfortunately not alive. So that's where your regret stops because it was meant to be that way. Okay. The way you did it made sure your life was saved. Even if you made the choice to go no contact, you made the choice to not visit the person much, you could have went to go visit this person more often and they killed you. Especially if it's somebody you didn't get along with. Don't ever regret not visiting somebody a lot that you actually did not get along with and your disputes could potentially turn physical. Okay, especially when you're both adults now. If you and that person ever threatened each other, was arguing real bad, name calling, a little scuffling where it could have got physical, but it ain't really got too out of hand yet, don't regret not visiting them. Because only the Lord knows how bad that could have turned out. So the Lord is protecting you and that person so nobody gets killed. So if it ends that they died, but they didn't die because somebody killed them on purpose, they just died of an accident or something like that. Sometimes, unfortunately, people do get shot and killed, but I'm talking about this particular situation. That's not how it happened. Don't have regrets. Never regret not being around somebody all the time that you could have been fighting with. Also, don't regret it if you or the other person or both people had bad temperaments. Don't regret not visiting them because, like I said, at the end of the day, you're still alive. They're not. Just like in my case, I'm still alive. So the Lord had it meant for me to be here for whatever reason. No matter who you are and who the other person is, somebody got to die first anyway. Sometimes people die together. They're in a car accident and they die together. They're ran over by a train or bus together. The whole family's walking across the street and everybody gets killed. Sometimes it happens like that. However, those are more rare, but usually in most cases, one of us is going to die first. So, that was part of my sad management. And so, because I did sad management, I could proudly say, I'm not depressed, I'm not unhappy. And I'm not, I mean, my days go by so happy. Um, and I'm also, with this sad management, I'm giving other people that live in the household with me cues and alerts as to what my triggers are. So, for example, one of my relatives know not to bring up the relative that passed. That's one of the things that I'm actually dealing with right now. Just not. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Yeah. I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. I had this because I do my music, so I got the I'm getting Mother's Day text, y'all. That's what it was. So I wasn't sure what it was. So I just got a Happy Mother's Day text from my cousin. So I'll text her once I get off this video. So basically, I lost my total train. I'm sorry, y'all. I lost my total train of thought. Yeah, but basically, what I was saying is one of my relatives knows that one of my triggers right now and one of my cues or alerts is just not to bring up death. Not just the relative that just passed, but just don't discuss death in general. Let's discuss life. Let's not say things like, "Oh, we're going to die tomorrow," or this one particular relative can be a little toxic sometimes with things, a little, I wouldn't say toxic, like a little negative. And, I'm encouraging this particular relative to kind of control that a little bit. And so this particular relative is cooperating and understanding that bringing up the relative that passed away in a certain way, I just don't want to hear about it because I'm doing sad management. I mean, I've accepted that this person is gone. When I think of the relative that passed away, I try to think of happy times and happy thoughts. I have no power in bringing nobody back to life on earth. I cannot go tell the Lord, wake them up out the grave site. I have none of that power. So I need to do sad management even within that and understand that I am powerless when it comes to life and death. I can pray that we live long lives and, do the best we can do. However, at the end of the day, I don't have the complete power. So at the end of the day, remember, the beauty about being an empath is you ain't hiding all of that. Okay, I'm not hiding that I'm depressed. I'm not hiding that I'm unhappy. I just ain't. You gonna know when I'm unhappy. I promise to God, you gonna know if I'm depressed too. Okay, because if I get that deep into depression, I don't believe I can do, and I mean serious depression. Remember, that's a medical illness too. That's medical. And overall, now anxiety, yes, mild anxiety, I got a little bit of that, but I know how to do a lot of things to control that, like being on this bike. However, anxiety and depression are two different illnesses. They're two different extremes. Just because somebody has anxiety does not mean they're depressed. So my anxiety is just pure nervousness, anxiousness, maybe experiencing some level of fear in some areas, maybe, or not fear, procrastination. A lot of anxiety is a lot of procrastination too. It just depends. You'll feel it. Anxiety, you feel it come up in your chest. You may have hot flashes. Some people may have a shaky hand. Like I said, nervousness. Feeling like you gotta go outside and get some air, whatever it is. I'm able to control a lot of that. I love going in the hot tub when I feel a little anxiety or anxious. However, like I said, that's not depression. So stop claiming the stuff, and be careful when people say, oh, you must be a little depressed. Yeah, I must be. See, the thing with that, too, as being an empath, we actually have a real personality. It's for real. Like, you actually have a very genuine part of yourself if you're an empath, just like I do. There's a part of me that's just genuine. So, see, a lot of what we do, we ain't got to fake it. That's what narcissists do. And that's why they suffer so much with depression. Because, for one, they can be in a deep, deep depression and won't admit to it. And see, the thing is, when you're not depressed, you don't want to be claiming that mess. However, if you are in a severe depression and cannot come out of it, it hurts you to not admit to it. And that's what narcissists and psychopaths do, and sociopaths. Some of them, not all, but some of them won't admit to it or get help. And then a lot of them, when they finally do get therapy or get some help for the depression, they're still not going to fully improve because they're being diagnosed just for the depression and not the personality disorder. However, some narcissists get into the right therapist's office and they are diagnosed with both. Like, okay, you're a little bit more than depressed. You're a narcissist, sir or ma'am. So, and sometimes they can, get healed that way. Like there's this one YouTuber, this gentleman, he suffered from narcissism for over 30 years or something like that. And he ended up getting a lot of the help he needed, and he has his own YouTube channel. So, in turn, like me, at the point I'm at, I can't even be claiming that type of stuff. And see, another thing, when you're doing your prayers, a lot of stuff that people say just won't work. Because believe it or not, when you pray often, it gives you a greater level of confidence and clarity. So you're more likely to know what you are. And I can actually say I'm not depressed and unhappy because I did sad management. And so I got those emotions under control because it was going to mess up everything. My job, me doing videos, being able to help you. I got to be on here to help you too. So to continue to do the things that I'm doing, I mean, I've had this YouTube channel since 2000, I think July of 2021 or something like that. So it's been over a year now, right? So this year will be 2 years I've had this channel. So I can't be going too deep in no depressions or be in any depression. I mean, I can. I mean, I have this YouTube channel. If I did feel sad or something like that, I can vent it here, right? Or if somebody does me wrong, and I've done that here, that helped me get to the point where I was able to do sad management. However, if my channel is working for me too, I shouldn't be getting so deep into that unless something horrific happened. Okay. And the relative that passed away, yeah, it's a tragedy and it was sudden, but I wouldn't call it horrific because I can see the blessing in it. One blessing is, okay, my relative is not paralyzed. My relative was not the type of person to be rolling around in a wheelchair and stuff like that, So sometimes death is a way out of torture on this earth, right? So sometimes death can be a blessing. So you got to try to find the good in it. However, I'm not going to say that there couldn't be anything that ever happened that made me have a nervous breakdown or something like that. However, if you're prayed up, maybe you can pull out of that. You just got to keep your prayers going. So this is what I want you to do. Happiness, I've learned, is a choice. I learned that many, many years ago through watching the brain surgeons. And they said you can change a habit in 20 days. And for 20 straight days, when anyone asks, how are you doing? I said, I'm excellent. And I did that for 20 days. And my brain actually changed. And I felt the happiest I had ever felt in my entire life. That was kind of a sad management too. I just didn't realize it. So I learned many, many years ago, happiness is a choice. And I want you to teach this to people. Because see, you be thinking, oh, well, this person must be a narcissist because they told me that I must be depressed or unhappy. No, everybody's not a narcissist. They might be wanting to figure out how you be happy. See, a lot of times people like indirectly asking you the question because they know you're going to say you're not depressed or unhappy. Sometimes they already know you're not depressed and unhappy when they say it. They just want to find out how you pulling this off. How did you just see this whole casket rolled out and you is happy? How are you doing that? And so you want to make sure that you're leading by example and maybe giving people some clues on how to do it so they can be happier. Because if this is somebody, when you're communicating with people on a regular basis, you want to be inspiring them to do better too. And that's why you came in their life. They in your life, they allowing you to vent to them, and you're in their life to maybe teach them how to be a little bit more happier by them seeing you do it through doing sad management. So to sum this up, just remember this. Don't forget this part. If you don't get nothing else from this video, narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths will suffer from much more depression than you will as an empath. And that's because part of their depression is their karma. Part of their suffering is going to be their depression because of the dirty stuff they do to people. That's why they suffering from depression. If you don't get up every day psychologically torturing other people, laying your hands on people, taking their kids and grandkids from them, you won't need to be depressed. And then what the narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths do, this is the next thing they do. They try to cover up the depression through their alcohol and drug addictions. Now they a whole nutcase. Now they a whole, what people say they acting bipolar, which now we know. And I just want to, as a disclaimer, point this out. I ain't never had no bipolar person do nothing to me. All the friends that I've had that was ever formally diagnosed with bipolar were sweethearts. So these so-called nutcases that we talking about, they are not bipolar. They are psychopaths, narcissists, and sociopaths. They are people that lack empathy. So in this video, I'm going to defend and protect the bipolar people. Because in my case, like I said, all the ones I met, and I met females and males, and they were sweethearts, kind people, never wronged me. Never, ever, ever did anything bad to me. So all this time we've been calling these narcissists and these psychopaths and these sociopaths bipolar, and they are not. They are cluster B personality disorder people. But of course, we realize that now. Now, some of them have both. They have bipolar and they're a psychopath. However, the main part of them that has them doing these horrible things to people is not the bipolar. It's the fact that they're a psychopath and they don't have no empathy and no conscience. A bipolar person has a conscience if they're not a psychopath or a narcissist or a sociopath. So keep that in mind. A bipolar person has a very good conscience. They're very empathetic. Ain't nothing wrong with them for real. I'm going to be honest with you. Most bipolar people that have been diagnosed with that, this is just my opinion. They can actually get rid of it or get rid of most of the symptoms. Get rid of most of those symptoms if they're around the right environment and they're taking care of their health. A lot of that, in my opinion, that bipolar stuff, it has a lot to do with your diet. You can look up foods that trigger bipolar disorder. And one of the things that triggers it is caffeine. Drinking soda pop, I think, is on the list. Which you shouldn't be drinking that very often anyway, especially dark sodas. Dark sodas are the worst. Okay, so just, watch what you're eating. Hydrate. Another thing that affects a lot of bipolar people that really triggers that disorder, where it makes them act like something's wrong with them, is addictions. Even being on marijuana. Just marijuana can trigger what they call bipolar. Most bipolar people, if they were not around narcissists, they were not doing marijuana and other drugs and cigarettes, and they took better care of their health, they would have never got diagnosed with that mess. And that's what I believe. And I believe for a lot of people, it's something that they can, through health and taking care of their health, I believe that most of those symptoms they can get rid of. And I believe most of them don't need that medication. What they need is prayer and a healthier diet. Get off drugs for the bipolar people that's on it, and take better care of themselves. Weight. You got to remember, the more weight you put on, your mind and your hormones are changing too. So that's what I believe. Because I noticed, sometimes with bipolar people in the past, some of them had addictions, even if it's just nicotine. Nicotine is not good for the brain in general. So that's my opinion. I believe a lot of these mental health disorders you can get rid of. You just got to do a lot of work. Or if you can't completely get rid of it, you can minimize it to the point where you got very few symptoms. So, as I said, to sum this up, ain't nobody got more depression than psychopaths, narcissists, and sociopaths. They just do. And like I said, it's karma. However, as an empath, the good thing about me is I'm in tune to my feelings. See, you can't tell me I'm feeling something that I'm not, because I have a lot of self-awareness And I can feel what's wrong with me too. That's the blessing about being an empath. I can actually feel it so I can control it. I actually have a genuine personality so I don't have to cover up like narcissists. Thank the Lord I don't have that problem and I can actually be who I am. I love y'all so much. I've been on this bike almost 40 minutes. I'm getting ready to text my cousin and thank her for the happy Mother's Day, along with wishing her a happy Mother's Day too. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Happy Mother's Day. And I'm not really too deep in the holidays, so I'm just going to say happy Father's Day. For me, I'm going to make this both. This is Mother's Day and Father's Day. So happy Father's Day, y'all, and happy Mother's Day to all the parents. This should be Parent Day, right? Not just Mother's Day or Father's Day. This should just be Parent Day. So happy Parent Day. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. And I love y'all so much. Bye.